Hare Krishna, everyone. It's 7:30.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम सर।
Dandavad. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll read Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Puranjana becomes a woman in the next life. So, that Brahmana who was an old friend of Puranjana who became Vaidarbi in the next life and was married to Malayadhvaj. Malayadhvaj died and Vaidarbi was going to cremate Malayadhvaj, right? So, at that time, one Brahmana came and he was going to, he's pacifying the queen with sweet words. So, let's see what happens further. The Brahmana inquired as follows: who are you? So the Brahmana is asking Vaidarbi, who are you? Whose wife or daughter are you? Who is the man lying here? It appears you are lamenting for this dead body. Don't you recognize me? I am your eternal friend. You may remember that many times in the past you have consulted me. So this Brahmana is the Paramatma. Basically, we read that in the purport previously. So, so of course the Paramatma knows everything, but he's pretending that who are you? Whose wife or daughter are you? Who is this man lying here? Why are you lamenting for this dead body? Don't you recognize me? I'm your eternal friend. On one side he's saying I'm your friend, eternal friend, and then is asking who are you? When a person's relatives dies, renunciation is automatically visible. What is that called? Person's relative dies, renunciation is automatically visible. It's called
Shamshan Vairagya.
Smashan Vairagya. So, like that. Yeah, when somebody dies, then for some days one becomes very detached. If they love the person, they feel like, yeah, nothing, everything appears like a void. Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam. So, Smashan Vairagya, Falgu Vairagya, then Markat Vairagya, then Yukta Vairagya. Like that, there's different Vairagyas, detachment. Markat means monkey renunciation, and Falgu means false renunciation. So it's kind of the same. Markat means you show outside that you are very renounced, but internally you are very attached, like a monkey. And Falgu is that river which appears to be like, sand on the top, but inside, if you poke, it's water. So that's Falgu Vairagya. That's also kind of that renunciation. So Yukta Vairagya is the real Vairagya. When a person's relative dies, renunciation is automatically visible. Consultation with the super soul seated within everyone's heart is possible only when one is completely free from the contamination of material attachment. So there can be communication, Prabhupada says, with the Paramatma only when we are free from all material desires and all contamination, kam, krodh, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. One who is sincere and pure gets an opportunity to consult with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Paramatma feature sitting within everyone's heart. So, does it mean that Paramatma doesn't communicate? Yeah, he's communicating, but his voice may not be heard because of the contamination. It gets drowned in the contamination. It's like you have a light bulb, but then there is lots of heaps of dirt over it, like you have black paper and so many different things. Then on the other side, the light will not come through because it's covered. So similarly, the Paramatma is always the Chaitya Guru, the spiritual master within, and he comes before one externally as the instructor and the initiator, spiritual master. So that same Paramatma is manifesting externally as the initiator, spiritual master. The Lord can reside within the heart, and he also can come out before a person and give him instructions. So although it is used as initiator spiritual master, it should be spiritual masters, because you can have Shiksha Guru. And for Chintamani, like for Balvamangal Thakur, it is said, right, that the spiritual master came as a prostitute too. So he learned from Chintamani. And Uddhav Gita, we have Uddhav having 24 gurus. So he was learning from all different. Thus, the spiritual master is non different from the super soul sitting within the heart.
That was Dattatreya.
Dattatreya, correct. The what is it?
Avadut Brahman.
Oh, sorry, Avadut Brahmana, yeah.
Hmm.
In Uddhav Gita, Krishna tells the story of Avadut Brahmana who meets King Yadu, and he says, yes, I have 24 spiritual masters, and that Avadut Brahmana is an incarnation of Dattatreya. And or he's Dattatreya, not incarnation. An uncontaminated soul or living entity can get a chance to meet the Paramatma face to face. Just as one gets a chance to consult with the Paramatma within his heart, one also gets a chance to see him actually situated before him. Then one can take instructions from the super soul directly. That this is the duty of the pure devotee, to see the bona fide spiritual master and consult with the super soul within the heart. When the Brahmana asked the woman who the man lying on the floor was, she answered that he was her spiritual master and that she was perplexed about what to do in his absence. At such a time, the super soul immediately appears, provided the devotee is purified in heart by following the directions of the spiritual master. A sincere devotee who follows the instructions of the spiritual master certainly gets direction from his heart, from the super soul. Thus, a sincere devotee is always helped directly or indirectly by the spiritual master and the super soul. This is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. If the devotee serves his spiritual master sincerely, Krishna automatically becomes pleased. Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasada. By satisfying the spiritual master, one automatically satisfies Krishna. Thus, the devotee becomes enriched by both spiritual master and Krishna. The super soul is eternally the friend of the living entity and always remains with him. The super soul has always been ready to help the living entity. We say he is ever willing, ever working, ever waiting. So he is always ready, ever willing to help the living entity, even before the creation of this material world. It is therefore stated here, Yenagre Vichachartha. The word agre means before the creation. So before this material creation, we were in the body of Mahavishnu. So there also, thus the super soul has been accompanying the living entity since before the creation. Okay. So in the material world, Krishna is accompanying us as a father would accompany his son to very different, in a very dangerous situation. The father would want to go with the son to see that he's safe, like that. So Paramatma, out of kindness and compassion and his love for the jiva, who are all his children, he is coming with us eternally while we are in this material world. Once we go back to the spiritual world, there is no Paramatma, because then there is no need. You are in a safe place in the spiritual world. Here in the material world, there is danger. So Krishna is coming. Okay. So, anything else?
Yeah, I think that question that this Brahmana is asking the girl, like we also tell people, right? Who are you? That
Oh,
makes you think that what is your real identity?
mm,
Whose wife or daughter are you? So actually, you would say that you were someone different previously, and now you think that you are the wife of this person. That's why you're lamenting. So,
mm,
like Maharaj was saying yesterday, all the problems in this world is because of the identity crisis.
correct.
We have a we have a wrong conception of who we are.
Yeah, all the wars are happening and all the atrocities that are happening and all the quarrel is because of identity crisis. Yeah, because they are thinking we are Russians, they are Ukrainians. They are thinking we are Americans, they are Chinese, and these are Indians, they are Pakistanis. So like that, we are identifying with this body, and that's why there is fighting going on. This is my nation, and that identity crisis is there. First is the mistaken identity, identification with the body, and then there is extended identification. So once you identify with the body, then everything you think, oh, this is my wife, this is my house, my. Yesterday we were hearing this class by Vraj Bihari Prabhu. It's all about I and mine. So instead of it's about Krishna and Krishna's, it's all about I and mine. So that is the illusion actually. So okay, so I am Krishna's and Krishna's is mine. The Radharani's wing of gopis, they think Krishna is mine, and Chandravali's wing, they think I am Krishna's. So both are valid conceptions because Krishna says Mame Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So I am Krishna's. I am part and parcel of Krishna. I belong to Krishna. I am the same nature as Krishna. So this identity crisis is the real identity is I am spirit soul, Jivere Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das, or Gopi Bhartu Pad Kamalay or Dasa Dasanudas. That's the real identity. I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of the devotees of Krishna. Okay, so material conception means I want to be the master of the master. So that's what it is. And everybody is trying to be the master. So then that's why there is fighting. Prabhupada says if you put pebbles in different places in a pond, then they will create ripples which will coincide with one another. Not coincide, but they'll like clash with one another. So then there'll be fight. So when the centers are different, then you have your center, I have my center, and then everybody wants sense gratification. So my sense gratification is colliding with your sense gratification. So then it is creating problems. And I want to have my sense gratification. So like that. So when we all agree that no, all our actions are for Krishna's enjoyment, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam, then there can be peace. So okay. Api smarasi chatmanam avignata sakham sakhe hitva mam padam anvichan voma bhogarato gataha. The Brahmana continued, my dear friend, even though you cannot immediately recognize me, can't you remember that in the past you had a very intimate friend? Unfortunately, you gave up my company and accepted a position as an enjoyer of this material world. So this is why, this is one verse that they say that how we were with Krishna in the spiritual world. And we gave up his company and came to this material world for enjoyment. Okay. Where is it saying? Giving hitva. Hitva means to give up. Mukti hitva anyatha rupams. Hitva mam, giving up me. So, okay. So, and obviously, when you change your body, because Vaidarbi had changed her body, she was Puranjana and she became Vaidarbi. As soon as you change your body, your friends and everything is forgotten, of course. That way also. But this is Paramatma. Paramatma is constant companion. So he's saying, did you forget me? Um, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 7:27. Ichchadvesha samutena dvandammohena bharata sarvabhutani sammoham sargeyanti parantapa. O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, Parantapa. All living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. Dvesh means envy, Ichcha means desire. This is an explanation of how the living entity falls down into this material world. In the spiritual world, there is no duality, nor is there hate. So everybody loves each other. Like in Jharkhand forest, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was making all the tigers dance and embrace the deer, and they were kissing each other, and there was no. Prabhupada writes someplace in the spiritual world, even the animals have no enmity against each other. Like naturally, the tigers and want to eat the deer, but in the spiritual world, it's not like that. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself into many. Ekabhu Shyam. In order to enjoy bliss more and more, the Supreme Lord expands himself in different categories. Oh, Krishna wants to have unlimited enjoyment. And we, as part and parcel of Krishna, we also want to have unlimited enjoyment because that propensity is there as it is in Krishna. So we can also have unlimited enjoyment in the service of Krishna. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. It is an ever increasing ocean of bliss, we say. This chanting and this service of devotional service to Krishna. So when we serve Krishna, then we also enjoy actually more than Krishna. So just like mother sees that the child is very happy, then she feels so happy, maybe even more happier than the child. So like that. As mentioned in the Varaha Puran, he expands himself in Vishnu Tattva, the Swansha expansions, and in his marginal potency, the Vibhinansha or the living entity. Swa Ansha means his own self, which is same category, is God category. And then there is a separate expansion, marginal potency, Vibhinansha. Vibhin means different or separated, the living entity. These expanded living entities are innumerable. We cannot count how many souls are there. We are just one of the many billions and trillions and zillions of souls. We are just one soul. There are so many souls. The Vibhinansha expansions, the marginal potencies of the Lord, are the living entities. When the living entities desire to enjoy themselves, they develop a consciousness of duality and come to hate the service of the Lord. In this way, the living entities fall into this material world. In the Prema Vivarta, it is said, Krishna bahirmukha hoy bhogavancha kore, nikatastha maya tare chapatya dhore. The natural position of the living entity is to serve the Lord in a transcendental loving attitude. So bahirmukha means bahir is external, like that. Bahir Narshingo, Hridaya Narshingo. So we are not looking at Krishna, that's what it means. We turn away from or face away from Krishna. Means we want to become independent. And desires, bhoga vancha. Vancha means desiring. Bhoga means enjoyment. Turning away from Krishna, wanting to enjoy. Then nikatastha. Stha means situated. Nikat means near. Nikate advaitashi. Asa chatradhana. Nikat. Nikat means near. So Maya is standing close by. As soon as you turn, as you desire to enjoy separately from Krishna in you, nikatstha Maya tare japutiya thare. Japutiya is, I think, slap, or he grabs and gives all kinds of misery. Japutiya. So when the living entity wants to become Krishna himself or imitate Krishna, he falls down into the material world. Since Krishna is the Supreme Father, his affection for the living entity is eternal. When the living entity falls down into the material world, the Supreme Lord, through his Swansha expansions, keeps company. So Paramatma is the Swansha expansion, company with the living entity. In this way, the living entity may someday return home back to Godhead. We have that Shweta Shweta Upanishad analogy where two birds are sitting on the same tree, the soul and the super soul. One bird is eating the fruits of the tree, which are sweet and bitter, means we are enjoying the results of our karma, which are sometimes good, sometimes bad. But the other bird is witnessing, but the other bird is not looking. The jiva bird is not looking. He is simply engrossed in this. So he's waiting. When will this bird turn to me? Like that, it's described. So generally, when we get distressed, then we may turn. By misusing his independence, the living entity falls down from the service of the Lord and takes a position in the material world as an enjoyer. So Krishna has given this material world to us to enjoy. Many people say like that. This Krishna has created this all these things for us to enjoy. That's correct. Because we wanted to be the enjoyer. But through that enjoyment, then we also find out that we are getting misery. Yehi sansparsha japa dukha yona evate. So, and it's not working out. Then we again turn back to God. So, that is to say, the living entity takes his position within a material body. So, sometimes we say, I want to be Krishna conscious, but I also want sense enjoyment at the same time, which we say are mutually exclusive. So, sense enjoyment is there, like you eat prasadam, nice prasadam. You're getting enjoyment, you hear nice katha, nice kirtan, so you get some enjoyment. But that is Krishna, that is not sense enjoyment, that is Krishna conscious enjoyment. That is to say, the living entity takes his position within a material body. Wanting to take a very exalted position, the living entity instead becomes entangled in a repetition of birth and death. So, if you want to enjoy, then you have to suffer also. So, if you want to play, right? They say, what is that? If you want to play, then you have to also
Pay.
pay. You have to pay. Pay by getting disease, getting old age. You want to enjoy the body, okay. Then also you get disease, death, old age, and then birth again. You want to enjoy, okay. So there is also. But Krishna is very kind. If you want to enjoy, then okay, you enjoy and then you renounce. After some time, the enjoyment doesn't satisfy. So then you become frustrated and then you renounce. So intelligent person uh, becomes frustrated in the beginning only, just by hearing about it. Then he says, okay, I don't want it. So because we want both simultaneously, sense enjoyment and to go back, it's difficult. Krishna consciousness. It's like you want to ignite a fire, but you want to pour water at the same time. Then how will the fire get ignited? So our situation is like that. So there is anukulyasya sankalpa and pratikulyasya varjanam. So you can't get love for Krishna until you also do pratikulyasya varjanam. You give up. So both have to be done. Wanting to take a very exalted position, the living entity instead becomes entangled in a repetition of birth and death. So he wants to become Brahma ultimately. Dhruva Maharaj had this desire to become even greater than Brahma. So, of course, then he lost his desire. But we want to become on the top. Then you have to get birth, death, old age, disease also. You want to be great. He selects his position as a human being, a demigod, a cat, a dog, a tree, etc. In this way, the living entity selects a body out of the 8,400,000 forms and tries to satisfy himself by a variety of material enjoyment. Let me enjoy like this. Let me enjoy like I have a desire to enjoy like this. So Krishna says, oh, here is a suitable body. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshwar tishtati yantra rudani maya. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudani maya. He tells Maya, okay, this person wants to enjoy like this. Give him a body like that. And that's how we say, if you want to eat flesh, then you get tiger's body. If you want to be in the water always, want to do sports, water sports, become a dolphin. If you want to fly in the sky, then become a vulture, like that. So, if you want to sleep, then become polar bear or a frog. If you want to have sense gratification many times, then you become a pigeon, like that. So, all the bodies are designed based on our desires. Krishna knows upfront what are the boundaries of the desires of the jiva. What are the boundaries? What he can desire. So he has already created this 8,400,000 species of life. And he gives us a body suitable to satisfy our desires. The super soul, however, does not like him to do this. So he doesn't want like that to satisfy, because he will not be satisfied. He's trying to be satisfied without Krishna. but it is not possible. The child will not be satisfied without the mother. So he's trying. Paramatma doesn't want him to do that. Consequently, the super soul instructs him to surrender to the supreme personality of Godhead. The Lord then takes charge of the living entity. But unless the living entity is uncontaminated by material desires, he cannot surrender to the Supreme Lord. Yes, so yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam tedvanda mohanena mukta bhajante mam dridavritah. So, without becoming free from the contamination, Krishna says those whose contamination has been eradicated and who have acted piously in their previous lives, then they can engage in my service with determination. So, we know Nishtha only comes after Anartha Nivritti. Because of anarthas in the heart, our bhakti is not steady. There are so many. So, anartha nivritti to happen, we have to do more bhajana kriya, and then to do more bhajana kriya, you have to take good sadhu sangha, like that. So, because the contamination in the heart is there, we are thinking that this is my personality. We are identifying with these desires as mine, as my friend, but actually it is my enemy because it is keeping me in the cycle of birth and death. Prabhupada says in the sense gratification there may be some feeling of enjoyment, but that feeling of enjoyment is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer. So we may think that if I fulfill all my desires like for sense gratification, then I will get enjoyment and I'll be very happy. But actually it is only keeping us bound in the cycle of birth and death. So we want enjoyment. So where to find enjoyment? Then we have to find enjoyment in devotional service. But it doesn't come easy, right? Enjoyment in bhakti does not come, because if you really get enjoyment in devotional service, then everything else will pale before that, because that's a superior form of enjoyment. And everything else will just have no attraction for so we are not getting that kind of superior enjoyment till the time we are not getting superior enjoyment, then we are engaged in lower enjoyment. So that superior enjoyment doesn't come easy. You have to really be very sincere at heart and follow the path given by the great acharyas and do consistency. Anudinam khalu saiva jushta Syat Krishna Nama Charidadi Sitapya Vidya Pitopatapta Rasanasyan Rojikano Kintu Adara Danudinam Khalu Seva Jushta Swad Vikramat Bhavati Tadgadamulahantri. So you have to do Anudinam very consistently with the right attitude. And then, Krishna consciousness, then Krishna will reciprocate. And when Krishna reciprocates, you get that taste. And then when that you feel that taste, then you feel like, oh, this is so nice. And I want to be in this taste forever. Then everything else pales. But unless the living entity, so we are all we should pray to Krishna to give us some taste for serving him. But unless the living entity is uncontaminated by material desires, he cannot surrender to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 5:29, the Lord says, Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloko maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatvam shantim richati. The sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods and benefactor of and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So three things. He is the enjoyer, he is the proprietor, and he is the friend. The Supreme Lord is the supreme friend of everyone. However, no one can take advantage of the Supreme Friend's instruction while making his own plans to become happy and entangling himself in the modes of material nature. So, Prahlad Maharaj says, Matirna Krishna Bharato Svatova Mito Vipadyata Griha Vratanam Adanta Gobhir Vishatam Tamishram Puna Punaschar Vitaschar Vananam. So he is telling his father, when in response to a question by his father, how did you become so Krishna conscious? And then Prahlad is saying, this Krishna consciousness cannot be aroused if by your own effort, by others going to conferences, and if you have He says, Adanta Gobhir Vishatam Tamishram. If you have desires for material enjoyment, then you cannot become Krishna conscious. But then what to do? We have desires for material enjoyment. So we have to pray to Krishna that you take away these desires, as Prahlad Maharaj says. You take away all these desires for material enjoyment and put me in the service of your devotee, pure devotee, like that. So by uh, taking shelter of the pure devotee of the Lord, then our sansara will be sansara nahi shoy, mahat seva kripa, mahat seva
महत कृपा बिना
kripa.
कोनो कर में भक्ति नहीं, कृष्ण भक्ति दूर रहो संसार नहीं क्षय.
So by serving the great souls in Vapu and Vani, then one can actually become. So we should take the instructions of Srila Prabhupada very seriously in whatever he has given in his books and like that, very seriously, as if he is talking to us, and then try to follow our life by his instructions. And then we will get, our sansara will be shaya. Shaya means destroyed, our material existence will be destroyed. So when there is creation, the living entities take on different forms according to past desires. So when we go into body of Mahavishnu, then again creation happens. Then all those dormant desires, which we are there, like we sleep, right? We have all dormant desires. When we sleep, we forget the desires. But when you wake up, then all those dormant desires come back. Or from yesterday, whatever you had desired, that will come. So similarly, with every creation, our desires from the past, when we got sucked into the body of Mahavishnu, and then when again creation happens, then again those desires are, you start working with those desires. That's how different species of life get generated based on the desires. This means that all the species or forms of life are simultaneously created. It means the monkey is created and the human being is created, the demigods are created, everything is created simultaneously. Not that one monkey changes into human being according to Darwin's theory. Darwin's theory is stating that no human being existed from the beginning, but that humans evolved after many, many years is simply a nonsensical theory. So he says, oh, there was nobody before, then human beings evolved from monkeys. From Vedic literature, we find that the first creature within the universe is Lord Brahma. Being the most intelligent personality, Lord Brahma could take charge of creating all the variety found within this material world. So that Brahma was born from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and very difficult for scientists to accept all these things. So we also cannot accept, like we cannot accept by experiment, right? We cannot prove this, that Garbhodaksha Vishnu and then navel Brahma sprouted on lotus stem. Brahma was born on the lotus stem and all these things. We cannot really. So we accept based on faith that what Krishna is saying, what Shastra is saying is true, like that, and what Darwin is saying is false. So either we have faith in science, which Darwin is saying, whatever they're saying, or we have faith in what is said in Bhagavatam. So that's the choice, because none of them can be proven, right? Darwin's theory also can't be proven. It's a hypothesis, and this other thing also can't be proven. So ultimately, where we put faith. So, okay, so the next verse. Any comments? So this is the verse that says that we came from the spiritual world. I mean, those who are supporting this theory that we came from the spiritual world into the material world, they say, they quote this verse. Unfortunately, I gave up my company and accepted a position as an enjoyer of this material world. Okay. Next verse. My dear gentle friend, both you and I are exactly like two swans. We live together in the same heart. So we are living in the same place, which is just like the Manasa lake. Although we have been living together for many thousands of years, we are still far away from our original home because we are in the material world. So Paramatma is in the material world. So we are living in some place together, but we are still far away from our original home. The original home of the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, both the Lord and the living entities live together very peacefully. Since the living entity remains engaged in the service of the Lord, they both share a blissful life in the spiritual world and both serve each other. Krishna serves the devotees and devotees serve Krishna, like that. So it is not a one-way traffic that, okay, Krishna also wants to serve and give pleasure to his devotees. However, when the living entity wants to enjoy himself, he falls down into the material world. So, okay. So we fell down from the spiritual. Even while he's in that position, the Lord remains with him as the super soul, his intimate friend. Because of his forgetfulness, the living entity does not know that the Supreme Lord is accompanying him as the super soul. Because he wants to forget Supreme Lord. So he is not aware that in his heart is Krishna because he wants to enjoy. In this way, the living entity. So that's why in Ashtanga Yoga, instead of senses running after the sense objects, there is pratyahara. Atyahara means going outwards, right? It also means eating more than necessary, but it also means when the senses are running towards out externally to the sense objects. So you pratyahara is one of the limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. You bring the senses back inward. So in this way, the living entity remains conditioned in each and every millennium. And then he sees Paramatma in the heart, in Samadhi. Although the Lord follows him as a friend, the living entity, because of forgetful material existence, does not recognize him. Okay, so we don't recognize Paramatma in our heart. We don't.
Hare Krishna. I
Yeah,
have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
So this is that we were in the spiritual world to begin with,
Yeah. This this
but
kind
I
of.
thought, isn't there a verse that says that um Krishna says that once you're in the spiritual world, there's no chance of going back into the material world.
Yeah, so now when we go back, then we will not come back into the material world. Going back means you were there once and then you left it and you came. Now when you go back, then you will not come back here again. You go back where you were originally there, right? Then you say you go back. Back home, back to Godhead. Back to Godhead means you're going back where you were originally there, present. You go back to the same place. Then, because you have had a bitter experience of this material world, you will not come back again. It is, you'll send, although the potential is there because you have free will, but once bitten, twice shy. You put your hand in fire, you got burnt. You will not put your hand again in the fire. That's how Prabhupada also explained in one conversation. So, either way, some people say, well, we were not in the spiritual world, whatever it is. Right now, we are in the material world. Prabhupada also said like that. We have to go back to the spiritual world. Like they say, if you are in a house on fire, then uh, instead of trying to find out the cause of the fire, you try to escape the fire first. So we are in this fire of material existence and we need to go out, we need to get out by Krishna consciousness. So like that's how it is explained. There's a whole lot of debate about this point where we were, but in one sense it is not, it's immaterial also, wherever we were. So we are right now in a dangerous situation. So so that's how you would explain also Prabhupada. Okay, my dear friend, you are now my very same friend. Since you left me, you have become more and more materialistic and not seeing me. So he's saying, Paramatma is telling, Brahmana is telling, Vaidarbi, you are my very same friend. Since you left me, you have become more and more materialistic and not seeing me. You've been traveling in different forms throughout this material world, which was created by some woman, Durga Devi. Maybe that's what it says. Let's see what Prabhupada says. When the living entity falls down, he goes into the material world, which was created by the external energy of the Lord. Yeah, so that is this external energy is described herein as some woman or Prakriti. The material world is composed of some material elements, ingredients supplied by the Mahat Tattva, the total material energy. So all these earth, water, fire, air, ether, everything is made up of all these five elements and the three subtle elements. Bhumi aponalo vayu kham mano buddhi revacha ahankara ityame bhinna prakriti ashtada. The material world created by this external energy becomes the so-called home of the conditioned soul. So within this material world, the conditioned soul accepts different apartments or different bodily forms and then travels about. Sometimes it travels in the higher planetary system, sometimes in the lower systems, sometimes it travels in higher species of life, and sometimes in lower species. He's been wandering within this material universe since time immemorial, as explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. The living entity wanders into many species of life, but he's fortunate when he once again meets his friend, either in person or through his representative. So we are wandering, loitering in this material world in different species of life, different places. And if we are fortunate, then by mercy of Krishna, we get the association of devotees in our life and we get the seed of Bhakti Lata. Sometimes they say, well, the seed is already there in the heart. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunoy. And here it is saying, Paye. Paye means he obtains the Bhakti Lata beach, the seed. So then people say, which is correct? Does he get Bhakti? Well, in one sense, Bhakti Lata is, the seed of Bhakti is there in everybody's heart. But unless you recognize it, it's not there. If you have something, but till you know it, it's not there. Right? You may have some bank account and you may have forgotten about the bank account, right? And you have so much money in the bank. So for you, as it is not existing, so then you get it. If somebody gives you the information and then say, oh, you have a bank account, you have $10,000 in that bank account, you don't know about it. So in that way, also Krishna, the devotees remind us that, oh, actually you have an eternal relationship with Krishna. So then we realize, okay. Actually, it is Krishna who personally advises all the living entities to return home back to Godhead. Sometimes Krishna sends his representative who delivering Krishna's very message. Canvas is all living entities to return home back to Godhead. So Prabhupada and everybody is saying, go back to Godhead. Don't try to adjust your situation in this material world. It will never become perfect. And you have been endeavoring for so many lifetimes. Now is the time to go back home, back to Godhead. Unfortunately, the living entity is so greatly attached to material enjoyment that he does not take the instructions of Krishna or his representative very seriously. Because I have my own plans, then I don't think that because I feel my plan is more valuable. As Sanat Kumar says, this is the greatest obstacle to spiritual advancement, to think that something else, all these other things are more important than Krishna consciousness, than self-realization. So I have my own priorities in life and so many things. Just yesterday or day before yesterday, Maharaj was talking about, we abuse time. We have time, but we don't use our time wisely. And sometimes we say, I'm killing time, but we are not killing time. Time is killing us. So as days go by, ayur harati vai pumsam, that. So time is killing us. So so we don't take Krishna's advice very seriously because I have my own thought process and my own um, ideas. So we for becoming happy. So Krishna is saying you become happy by this process, but we say no, no. I have my own way to become happy. You don't bother me. That's pretty much what it is. Like so, we came to this material world. He does not take instructions of Krishna or his representative very seriously. This material tendency is mentioned in this verse as Gramya Mati, or like as Maharaj was saying that chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And he says, no, I'm chanting. I'm happy without chanting Hare Krishna. I don't need to chant Hare Krishna. So yeah, so there is that happiness is the illusory happiness. Also, there is happiness when you are in ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. They say for some time. This material tendency is mentioned in this verse as Gramya Matihi, sense gratification. The word Mahim means within this material world. All living entities within this material world are sensually inclined. Consequently, they become entangled in different types of bodies and suffer the pangs of material existence. So ultimately, we want enjoyment. That's why we are sensually inclined. So, but there is another enjoyment on the spiritual platform, which we have to experience, of course. Talking is one thing, and to experience that, oh, this chanting Hare Krishna is so. Like Rupa Goswami experienced this enjoyment. So he says, oh, this Tunde Tandavani Ratim Vitanute Tunda Valilate Karna Krodha Kadambini Katayate. What? Karna Krodha Kadambini Katayate Karnar Budepyasviham. Then
Peta
Cheta
prangan Vijayate Sarvendriyanam Kritam No Jani Janita Kyat Piramrite Krishneti Varnadvi.
Yeah. Prabhupada was also quoting this verse like no jane janita. Anand Chaitanya Prabhu is saying that how much pleasure is there in this two syllable Krishna? I don't know. In that city, in the material body, there are 5 gardens, 9 gates, 1 protector, 3 apartments, 6 families, 5 stores, 5 material elements, and 1 woman who is the lord of the house. So where they are living, he is describing. This is again the body thing coming. 5 gardens. What are the 5 gardens? 9 gates are the 9 holes. One protector, 3 apartments, 6 families, 5 stores, 5 material elements. That is earth, water, fire, and ether. And 1 woman who is the lord of the house. So we'll read one more verse. My dear friend, the 5 gardens are the 5 objects of sense enjoyment. So garden is place where you enjoy. So 5 gardens, which are related to 5 objects of sense enjoyment for each sense. And the protector is the life air, which passes through the 9 gates. So through all the 9 gates, some air is going. The 3 apartments are the chief ingredients: fire, water, and earth. The 6 families are the aggregate total of the mind and 5 senses. The 5 senses that acquire knowledge are sight, taste, smell, sound, and touch. And these act through the 9 gates: the 2 eyes, the 2 ears, 1 mouth, 2 nostrils, 1 genital organ, and 1 rectum. So if you don't have all these senses, uh, the Gyanindriyas, then we cannot really, I mean, that is the way we get knowledge of this world. But Karmendriyas and Gyanindriyas is where uh, we understand this world and through which we derive enjoyment, bodily enjoyment, material enjoyment. These holes are compared to gates in the walls of the city. The principal ingredients are earth, water, and fire, and the principal actor is the mind, which is controlled by the intelligence, buddhi. So our body is made up of water, 70% water, some flesh and bones, which is earth, and the fire of digestion is there. Also, fire is there, which keeps our body at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. We are warm blooded, right? Warm blooded animals. So, mammals, so fire, there is some fire, and the principal actor is the mind. is acting and makes us act also, which is controlled by the intelligence, buddhi. Okay, so continue this. Any comments or anything else you would like to share? Anything? New song? Or...
I can sing a song. I need to find which song.
That one is
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This one song, that what is that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu get up in the morning. Udilo.
Jeev Japa. Oh, Udilo, I don't know.
That's a nice song.
Okay.
Or any other song which you want to sing, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Prabhuji wanted to say something.
Yeah. Uh, to experience the joy or happiness during. So when we say that, I think it implicitly means that it is first step is to have attentive chanting, which where we actually try to bring our focus and fix our mind. Now, this attentive chanting or fixing the mind. So how do we achieve that? I mean, I think one we know that. I mean, Srila Prabhupada said, wake up early in the morning and do chanting because in the morning it is easier to focus. Uh, Now, my question was, in addition to waking up early in the morning, uh, any practices from the Ashtanga Yoga, such as pranayam, would that be supplementary and helpful to bring focus, or just continuing the morning chanting is good enough?
Yeah, some devotees do pranayam. You can do quiet the mind, like breathing deeply, but like 4 or 5 minutes you can do pranayam. You can. I think even Sachinandan Maharaj was saying something that he also does something like that. You can do. Huh?
Amoglila Prabhu in his day with Amoglila Prabhu, he says he showed us that he does pranayama exercises.
Yeah. So if it works for you to quiet the mind, then yeah, you can try. We should also try. I'm also inspired to try this. We can just sit for 2 3 minutes silently, just quiet the mind, you know, before chanting. So it can help.
Also helps in giving bodily strength because you have to sit in one place for 2 hours. You can fall asleep and stuff. So some exercising of the body is good.
Yeah, nowadays I'm walking and chanting, but yeah, sitting and chanting is better. Yeah.
Also, I was thinking yesterday, I was seeing a lecture of Radhanath Maharaj. He says every moment counts. I mean, we have limited time in this human body. So, wasting time being inattentive while chanting is a big loss. Like, one moment of time spent uselessly cannot be purchased by paying millions of gold coins, as Chanakya Pandit says. So, just remembering that I have this valuable time, and so many people in this world, they don't have time because they are so busy in their doing hard work for their families and so many difficult situations. And may have seen that in our life also. Sometimes we are not able to chant because we got a difficult situation. We have to be in a hospital, or our health is not good, that we can't chant. But now that we have a situation where Krishna has given us in a peaceful way, we can chant. And in that time, I'm sleepy and inattentive. Then it's like what can we say? Durdeva midrishmi hajani na anuraga. I'm so unfortunate that I don't realize that what a valuable jewel that I've gotten, but I'm wasting it.
And sometimes if you have lack of sleep, then just sleep for half an hour, 1 hour, whatever, and then chant. So, because sometimes body needs rest, and if you are not rested enough, then we can just take a break and take rest and then become fresh and chant. That's also one, instead of just going on and like doing without, like if you're feeling very tired, then that may be a strategy also. And yeah, as you were saying, if you want to do, why not do it nicely, right? We have to, anyway, we are chanting, so try. See, the problem is that because it's a lack of interest. Ultimately, it all boils down to lack of taste. Like, if you watch something which is very interesting to you, uh, like a cricket match, or if you are interested, I'm not saying you maybe, but if something is very exciting and very interesting, then you're not automatically your attention will be absorbed. So the whole thing is because after some time the mind just, maybe it doesn't like the chanting, it gets bored or something like that with this. So that's why, so you have to force the mind, right? We say yato yato nischalati manas chanchalam. What is that? Yato yato nischalati.
Manaschanchala sthiram tatastatu nimitadaatmaname vasham nayate.
So we have to bring it back by force to the holy name. If we have lot of interest and lot of taste in chanting, then you become just absorbed in it. You don't even realize how many rounds you have chanted or anything. You just, although you're pulling the counter, but you're not focusing on, okay, I have 3 rounds to go, I have 4 rounds to go. You just chant and you're so, but that's, maybe everybody may not be at that kind of. So we have to, that's sadhana bhakti when we say, uh, to bring sadhana. Then raganuga means spontaneous. Yeah.
And there would be a time when we will have no time left. At that time, we can't chant even if we want to. Now we have time,
Hmm.
so utilize it. And yeah, one devotee was saying nicely. He said that this body is a good servant. Give work to this body. Engage him in as much as service to Krishna to for your advancement. Don't try to give comfort to this servant. This body is your servant, which is I mean, for like we say that soul is higher than intelligence, than mind and then senses. So soul is like the master of this. Of course Krishna is the ultimate master, but this body is a servant. We think this we are this body and we want to give comforts to this body. Oh, let me sleep more, let me enjoy. This is all we are thinking with this body, right? So but actually this body is a servant that to be utilized in Krishna's service as much as possible for my benefit. So don't try to give comforts to this body.
Body should.
Engage it very hard, give him very hard work in service to Krishna.
Correct. We should make the body, keep the body fit also, right? Because that's also one. If you are very, like, when it's like more inactive you become, the more inactive it becomes, like that. It's like, so we have to remain, do some little walking and things like that to keep the body also active. And this mind also, we have to tell the mind, you are not the boss, you are my servant. So the bodies can be servant, and the mind also should be made servant. Of course, the mind ultimately is, you are not the boss, I am the boss, I am the soul, I am the boss, and my boss is Krishna. I don't want to. So the soul is the choice, either to accept the bossiness of the mind or the bossiness of Krishna, Krishna's guidance. So we have to choose which boss we want. We want mind as our boss, or we want Krishna as our boss. So we say, oh, I want Krishna as my boss. So I will not hear you, mind. So like that also we kind of we subdue the mind. Yeah.
And
And
also,
more
it is a
we
question of a practice, right?
Hmm?
Because also, it is a question of a practice.
Yeah.
Once you practice more and more, because the same that, Arjuna who conquered the sleep, right?
Hmm.
And that's why he's the best archer. So, how much you practiced to be in, like, for anything you achieve. And when we understand the glories of holy name and what we can get from that holy name, and one devotee was saying, I was talking to him, and he was saying that whenever I chant, I put my death in front of me. That, I feel like that, that can come anytime. Even I'm chanting, and maybe next moment I'm dying. So when we think like that, I mean, everybody is same thing. Everybody we maybe heard the news or we saw that, right? The relatives and all, someone is dying every single moment, right? But for us, I'm talking about myself. Like, no, I'm not thinking like that I'm going to die in an hour or something like that. It could be possible, but that kind of urgency is not there. So yeah, so becoming a complete. So we understand the first thing. I was thinking the first thing, we have to be know the glory of holy name. That what we can get from the holy name,
Hmm.
whatever we can get in this material world, either you be a Elon Musk or Biden or anyone, but you have to leave everything behind, no doubt in it. But whatever you get in through the holy name, it's your eternal credit. You will take this from with you wherever you go. So yeah, that is that the importance of uh, choice, like what you choose and be a good businessman.
but also Mahatma Das Prabhu was saying that we may be practicing wrong. If we are practicing wrong, then there is no result. Means, and every time you chant, you're chanting inattentively. So then the practice itself is wrong. So he says that we should not, what did he say, bad japa, we should not tolerate bad japa.
Yeah, it's like how bad you feel if you're chanting bad japa, how badly you want to change it. That's how. So proper practice makes perfect. But generally, we say practice. It should be proper practice only. Otherwise, yeah, it will. Bad practice will do more bad practice, right? It will create more bad. You become more in that mode, right? So,
Mm. Because some devotees say they have been chanting for 40 years
hmm.
and they have not seen any effect. Like they still have anarthas. What can we get out of that?
Well, they may be saying it in humility. First, that is one thing. The second thing is that uh, it depends on our conditioning when we came into this material world, how we say how dirty we were. So there may be, so if they were not chanting, then probably it would have been much worse. So you can say, yeah, the anarthas are there, but if I had not been chanting, if I had not, then it would have been even worse than this. And then the third thing is that, yeah, then maybe if we are not chanting properly, then the effect is also not as much as, so we may be doing offenses. Bahu janma kare yadi shravan kirtan tabu thana paye Krishna pade prem dhan. So we are maybe doing offenses, we are not following the process properly. That could also be there. So many things, yeah, can be. I, by one. And
So
we
in
have to
in,
also
in
be patient, right?
lecture I
Compared to
heard like
40 years, this material world, we've been so many years in this material. 40 years is nothing compared to. So we have to be patient and overnight, it not that Ashta Shatvik Vikar will come in the heart. Um, so that also is, yeah, what you were saying something. Somebody was saying something. Okay.
Yeah, so 2 hours. I mean, for the same question, I have heard something like this, like uh, say in the when we say 16 rounds minimum, that amounts to 2 hours, and remaining we have 22 hours. So how one spends those 22 hours, uh, that also influence that the consciousness. So it is like at one place we have a fire, and second place we are also putting water on it. So even that's another reason I heard, that the number of years are gone, but this trend continues, whether the chanting is going on every day, but at the same time remaining 22 hours, they are sometimes person is not strong enough or weak. So that's what I have.
And there may be a like desire for name, fame. It's so right attitude is that I'm doing it to please Prabhupada. Krishna likes it. I'm doing it to please Krishna. But there may be other things, other motives why I'm chanting. So that also can uh, like determine. Prabhupada says, what does it write in Nectar of Instruction? He says the attitude. What does he write about the attitude?
Advancement of a devotee depends on the attitude of.
Attitude of attitude means the motivation, like your disposition, your internal conscience. I was thinking morning this. We say Arjuna was fighting, Duryodhan was fighting. Both are fighting. So similarly, I am chanting, and Narad Muni is chanting, Rupa Goswami is chanting, and some others you are all chanting. Everybody is chanting. But what is going on? Where is their mind at that point? Where what is the thought process? What is the attention? And externally, yeah, the activity is going on. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It has a benefit always chanting, but what is our inner consciousness at that time when we are chanting? So that's also important, right? So the attitude. Okay, so if you have a song, then all right.
Yeah. So I will sing Keno Hare Krishna. Paste in the link.
Okay.
Keno Hare Krishna हरि बोले मनो प्राण कांदे ना पाखी ना जानी कौन अपराधे मुखे हरे कृष्ण नाम बोलो ना केनो हरे कृष्ण नाम हरि बोले मनो प्राण कांदे ना पने पाखी रे धरे राखला हृदय मंदिरे मधुमुखाए हरि नाम पाखी रे शिखिले शिखे केनो हरे कृष्ण नाम हरि बोले मन प्राण कांदे ना पाखी सकल नाम बोलते पारो केनो हरे कृष्ण नाम बोलो ना केनो हरे कृष्ण नाम हरि बोले मनो प्राण कांदे ना चलो पाखी रूपेर देशे जाए जे देशे ते मने मानुष आशा जाइयो ना केनो हरे कृष्ण नाम हरि बोले मनो प्राण कांदे ना पाखी रे तोर मरण काले ते चरबी वासेर दौलते और चार जनते का कांधे कोरे लोई जाबे शमशान घाटते केनो हरे कृष्ण नाम हरि बोले मनो प्राण कांदे ना ओरे ओ तोर मुखिया कुन जीवे तोले की करे बिताय बोलो ना केनो हरे कृष्ण नाम हरि बोले मनो प्राण कांदे ना. So, oh, Why does my heart not weep from chanting the holy names? Hare Krishna. The bird of my heart does not know what past sinful activities it has committed to cause this inability to chant Hare Krishna properly. O forest bird, I have kept something for you very carefully within the cottage of my heart, the holy name of Hari, which is overflowing with pure sweet honey. O bird, you could learn the chanting of this name if you were taught. A bird is easily able to speak all names. Why then does this bird of my heart refuse to chant Hare Krishna? Oh, why does my heart not weep from chanting the holy names Hare Krishna? O bird, come let us go to the spiritual world, the land of true and everlasting beauty. It is the place where the imaginary man of my mind will never again come and go on revolving in the cycle of birth and death. O bird, at the time of death, your body will simply be placed upon a funeral stretcher lifted on the shoulder of 4 persons and carried to the cremation ground. Alas, the cremation fire will enter your mouth and then totally consume your tongue. There will be nothing you can do to save yourself, for at that time it is too late. You will be unable to speak anymore. So, my heart does not weep while chanting the holy name because of my anarthas. Like Amoghli Prabhu was saying, that if the heart is hard because of so many material desires, then it does not melt. When the heart is soft in humility and service attitude, then it can weep for Krishna. But if it has become hard due to material desires or due to anarthas, lust, anger, greed, then it does not weep while chanting the holy name. So, yeah, the more sinful activities we perform, especially with our tongue, if we hurt others. So, this verse is there, or the austerity of the tongue, Anudvega karam vakya satyam priyam hitam cha. Swadhyaya bhasanam cheva tan van mayam tapojyate. Which means that we should speak words that are truthful, that are pleasing to others, that are not agitating, that are beneficial, and always speaking from scriptures. So that purifies our tongue, and then we will be able to chant more and nicely also. But if we are committing offenses from our tongue by also eating that which is not offered to Krishna, or speaking mundane things like prajalpa, then the tongue will not be able to chant the holy name. So, yeah, so this holy name is like pure sweet honey, but we are not tasting that sweetness because we have the jaundice of ignorance. We are ignorant of who we really are, why we are here, what is the ultimate benefit. I mean, if we knew that, I mean, this all is temporary material world and we are in a dream, and sometimes it's a very horrible dream and I'm done with this world, I don't want have any desires to enjoy in this world, then we will be so very serious in going back home, back to Godhead and chanting the names of Krishna, which is the only way to go back. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, kalau nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyatha. There is no other way. So I think more convinced we are that this material world is a place of suffering. We are in like a vacation in Afghanistan. There is any time a bomb can fall on us, anytime. Some disaster can happen. Padam padam yad vipadam, danger at every step. So we would be more serious. But we don't have that serious. I mean, we don't understand the reality of this material world yet. So then, yeah, let's go to the spiritual world. He's saying that, which is a place of true and everlasting beauty. And this mind imagines so many things. Like, oh, this will happen, that will happen. It's all imaginary. I mean, yeah, so we should not fall in the traps of the mind. Yeah, so mind, there's a acronym we say of mind, right? M means it magnifies problems. So when we start to chant Hare Krishna, then we think of all our problems in this world, right? That comes to our mind. But the mind is magnifying problems. Actually, all these are temporary, insignificant things that should not come to our mind. It's only there for short time. Our life is also very short. The main problem is that we are separated from Krishna, so we should focus on the main problem. And then I means imagination. I mind is always imagining enjoyment. It's like a mirage in the desert. It's like he thinks that, oh, I get this, I will be very happy, but that's not true. It's like mind's illusion. It's illusion. There is no happiness in this world. There is no position which is perfect in this world. Everybody has to go through so much suffering. And at the time of death, yeah, so we should keep our death in front of us. We'll be in the hospital room, lying on the bed, struggling for breathing, and finally carried to the cremation ground with four persons. And then fire will enter our mouth, totally consume our tongue. At that time, we will not be able to chant Hare Krishna. That, so now that we have the tongue and we have the healthy human body, why aren't we chanting now? So there's Bhaktivinoda Thakur trying to bring us some seriousness. Thank you, Prabhu.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So, anybody else like to say anything on this song? So, you made good point, right? That about, see, we came to America, or everybody wants to come to America from third world countries, especially because they feel that America is good. Like, so many people want to come, right? They want to get green card and like that. Because this is a place where there's comforts, there's opportunities, and so many things for enjoyment and clean environment and like that. So then in their country. So when we feel, yeah, spiritual world, the life will be so nice. And simultaneously we feel that, yes, I'm rotting in this material world, in the cycle of birth and death. And there it is very nice. Then your desire to go there will become stronger. If you are in a country like many Europeans, if somebody is in Switzerland and they feel it's very nice, they don't hanker to come to America. Why? Because they are nice. They are feeling that it's nice here. Why we should go to America? So it's like that. So if you feel in material world everything is nice, wonderful, then why would you want to go to the spiritual world? I'm already happy. The people say like that. Right? Why I have to go to spiritual? I'm feeling nice here. Of course, it's an illusion only we say like that. So more we feel that yes, I am in a difficult situation in the cycle of birth and that world is so nice, and the activities there are very nice. So we read about the activities, what is going on in the what will I do in the spiritual world, even if I go there, what will I do? So those activities have to interest you, right? Then you will feel like, okay, yeah, I want to be there. But if those activities don't interest and the activities here is interesting, like going to job and whatever sense gratification, all these activities are interesting here, then we'll feel like, yeah, I don't want to go there. It's nice here. So that's the ultimate. So that's why Prabhupada is also trying to tell us the problems in material existence, so many purports, and at the same time describing the spiritual world. So, yeah, as you were saying this, yeah, come to vacation in Afghanistan. All right, so what is the time? It's 8:55. We'll stop here. We have to read the Paul pastime, but tomorrow we can read. Thank you everyone for joining this morning.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.